welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. A Barcelona news roundup coming up for you today where we do have some exciting stuff to discuss. We're going to be talking about the young and exciting Pedri and what we can expect from him in potentially the Barça first team next season. We're also going to be talking about another exciting young man who's already broken into that setup. It's Ansu Fati and his current contract situation. And finally, we are going to be talking Quique Setién's future, and if he was to go, who could potentially be on their way in. There's some interesting reports that we have to cover. It's all coming up today. Let's get to it. But if we do kick off here with just a bit of a follow-up on what we discussed yesterday over on More TalkFCB. If you did miss that video, where have you been? Over on More TalkFCB yesterday we discussed Ousmane Dembele and whether or not he could return in time to face Napoli. And I just want to follow on there from what we said yesterday, because it came out later on from MD that all the players, like I say, had been given that extended break. They're not back in now until next Tuesday for their next training session. But despite all of those players being away now on their holidays, having rest days with their family, one player who remains at the club, remains at the club's facilities, it's Ousmane Dembele. He right now is in the gym, he's still working on that recovery, and I'm just really glad to see him taking it that seriously. Clearly, he wants to return as quickly and in the best possible shape that he can, and it's really good there to see him continuing that work, even when the squad have been given some time off. Hopefully, really hoping we can see him back soon. But if we do indeed move on to Pedri, the exciting 17-year-old whose spell now with Las Palmas has officially come to an end. And that means now the young Spaniard, the creative midfield player who can play central, he can play wide as well. He's going to be officially joining Barcelona this summer for a fee there initially of around €5 million. And I just want to talk there about his final game for Las Palmas. That took place there just a few days ago, back on Monday, and it ended in the perfect way. He scored their second goal in a big win there against Extremadura. A really well taken goal inside the area there, good right-footed finish, and that there was his third goal of the season. And also along with those goals, he's contributed to 7 assists in the 35 games he's played for Las Palmas, helping them to a really good 9th place finish in the Segunda division. And I do feel as though that season there in the Segunda, that's going to stand him there in really good stead. It's good preparation, because that right there, it might be the second tier of Spanish football, but that's no pushover league. That right there, as we've seen in the past with Barça B, it's a really physical, really demanding league. You have to play a lot of games, and I just think there, all of that game time, playing week in, week out, at senior level, that will have really helped Pedri in his development. I just want to highlight there the different qualities, the different characteristics that Pedri has that we may expect from him when he does come into the Barcelona team. And to do that, I'm just going to give you some words here from his coach from this season, Las Palmas coach Pepe Mel, who, despite wanting to keep Pedri on loan next season, even he admits that if he was the Barça coach, he would be keeping Pedri in the first team. Pepe Mel said after Pedri's final game on Monday, he said, "I said goodbye to Pedri as if I would see him more here next season, but it's not up to him and it's not up to us either." He said, "We'll be optimistic, but if I was the Barca coach, I would be keeping him, because when he gets the ball and they see how he links up with those around him, they will find he's got so much to offer, and he's already at a fantastic level." And this actually follows up on what Pepe Mel said at the end of 2019. Back in December, he was absolutely glowing in his praise there for young Pedri, about his ability on the ball, about the fact there that he can play in different positions, and he also made a very interesting comparison. He said back then, despite his age, he's always able to see. He's always got his head up, he's assessing the options he has, and he always chooses the best one. He's able to see a pass between the lines that takes out opponents, and he does not need many touches at all to find those plays. He said Pedri understands the spaces really well, when he has to go inside and leave space on the outside, or when to realise that you have a numerical advantage in certain areas. Pedri can understand all of that. He said he can play in either of two positions, although you have to take into account that he does feel more comfortable on the left, a bit like Andres Iniesta. Pedri is very similar to Iniesta, in fact. Mel finished by saying he will fit perfectly at Barcelona. "I believe he can grow even more. He will make those around him better, and he'll also stand out even more when he's got quality footballers around him too. And I think that's a glowing reference. And he's not the first person either. Many of those who've seen Pedri, who's watched his development when Barcelona signed him, there was real excitement for this young man who's had his first season here in senior professional football, and he's looking so good, looking so talented, and apparently he's going to be given every chance in pre-season this summer with Barcelona to show that quality. And if he does, he could get a chance in the first team next season to give us what I feel is some much needed creativity. But if we also discuss here, like I say, another very exciting young player, that is, of course, Ansu Fati, who ended the season there in the way that he started it, with a goal, with an exciting moment, and certainly adding to his tally already of very, very successful moments that we've already seen from him in the first team. But it's actually his contract today that I do want to discuss, because back in December, Ansu Fati did sign a new contract with Barcelona. At the time, that was to reward him there for the incredible form that he's shown after breaking onto the scene. And he signed a new contract there. It was a short-term deal until just 2022 with a release clause of 170 million euros. And although that's pretty high, that right now is not completely out of reach of some of the biggest clubs in the world. Because it was then reported that given the interest from elsewhere, once Ansu Fati was officially registered there as a first-team player when he made that permanent step up, that contract there would be improved, it would be renewed, and that release clause would be raised to a much more comforting 400 million euros, which I think would make us all feel much, much better. And apparently, according to Rack 1, that renewal right now is very much in progress, which I think we all wanted to hear. Right now, the club are thinking that offers are coming in from right, left, centre. Apparently, there's real interest in Ansu Fati from right across the board. And also, what's really prompted them here to make this contract move and to extend it and increase it as soon as possible is that the offers that have been coming in have dwarfed what Ansu Fati is currently earning at the club. Apparently, these offers are big, they're lucrative, they might turn a young man's head, you don't know. And for that reason, the club are very, very intent on getting this new deal done very, very soon. But for me, I think Ansu Fati, he does seem like a good kid. He does seem like somebody here who's grateful for the opportunity of playing first-team football at such a tender age. And I think, to be honest, he wants to succeed here. We've heard about interest from Man United, we've heard about interest from other massive clubs in the world of football. But to me, he just seems as though he wants to be a star of Barcelona, and I'm absolutely sure that he's got all the ability and hopefully the platform to make that happen. But finally, guys, we do have to move away from those exciting young talents and move on here to the future of Quique Setien, because I still feel as though, although we ended the season in a much more positive note, Quique Setien's future, it very much depends on what happens now in the Champions League. We've lost out on La Liga, and it's all going to be decided in what happens against Napoli, and then, of course, further and deeper, if we get there, into that tournament. But I want to talk about here if the worst does happen, if something happens in the Champions League, if we are eliminated in a bad way, if things don't go exactly as we hope, which then pushes the board into the direction of sacking Setien. There have been a few rumours coming out the past few days, basically indicating who may get the job if Setien does depart. Because on one hand, you've got Garcia Pimienta. We've spoken about him several times before. He's been linked with a coaching job now on a number of occasions, and he does look well placed. He's done an extremely good job there with the youngsters at Barcelona B, and even more so now during the playoffs. You can see his credentials. He is a good coach. He's a very good man manager too. And I think he's also, of course, somebody who knows the club from the inside, and that would allow him to step into the new role and get to grips with things as quickly as he possibly could. However, I want to bring you here something from Cat Radio, who usually are very reliable on the Barcelona front, because they say that Eric Abidal, the sporting director, of course, he's very much against Garcia Pimienta. He doesn't want him to take over at Barcelona, with Cat Radio saying there that Abidal was adamant that Pimienta should not replace Setien should he be sacked at any point. And the reason that I am mentioning this is because it was interesting to see what appeared this morning on the cover of L'Équipe, of course the big French news outlet, which actually there has been linking Laurent Blanc front and centre, the former Paris Saint-Germain coach, with a move to Barcelona next season. Because L'Équipe go on to say that Laurent Blanc apparently would be Abidal's number one choice. Abidal would like to bring in Blanc to take over at Barcelona on a one-year deal until 2021. And L'Équipe go on to say that Blanc would accept those terms. He would be happy to come in on that short-term contract, and Blanc, of course, has been out of work since 2016 after he was sacked by PSG after their Champions League quarter-final elimination in that season. And it is interesting because many people have been saying, is Blanc going to take over? Is he a genuine candidate to take over at Barcelona? And what I would say right now, just take a step back. Because also, I want to bring you here another side of that story. Because Rack One then have come out and said, you know what? Blanc has been rumoured with Barcelona. He's a name that has been thrown out there. But apparently, it's all surrounding here Laurent Blanc's agent, George Mendes, who right now apparently has proposed the idea to Barcelona that he could take over at the end of the season. And it's George Mendes there who's putting that idea to Barcelona and not the other way round. And I just think here, that's why we should hang fire. Don't get too involved in this story right now. Don't get too bogged down with it, because quite clearly George Mendes has a reputation, whether it's coaches, whether it's players, all of his clients, he just throws the names out there. He just throws them out there and he hopes that something sticks. So I wouldn't get too involved right now in this story. Blanc may or may not be being considered by Barcelona. I think Garcia, Pimienta, if Setien should go, is very well placed. But of course, we'll be hoping that in the Champions League, we can get things right. We can get things moving in the way that we'd like, and that Setien can still be a success. But of course, for that, we've got to wait and see. So please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. What did you make of today's news from Pedri? What do you think there about the talent and the exciting young player that we could have on our hands next season? What do you make there of that new contract that should be coming to Ansu Fati? And what do you make there of the Quique Setien situation? If he was to go, who would you like to see come in? But of course, like I say, all eyes on the Champions League, focusing on the now. We want to be a success under Setien. Thanks as always for your support, guys. Please make sure you're also checking out the videos. There will be more coming up now on more TalkFCB. I really appreciate your support across all of the platforms. I'll see you soon. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.